Today we'll talk about ventilator. Ventilator is like a god for a few people, and for those who have no idea what ventilator is, it may sound like a devil. Before going to details of ventilator, I'll talk a bit about the human respiratory system. The anatomy of respiratory system starts from the nasal cavity. The air passes from the nasal cavity to the pharynx. Pharynx is a junction where food and air both passes, and from there air exclusively passes through the larynx. Whenever food tries to enter the larynx, we cough out. And from the larynx, air goes to trachea. Then trachea splits into two bronchus, right and left. And then bronchus splits into bronchioles, smaller tubes which carries air into the end part, which is alveoli. Alveoli is like a small balloon. And numerous alveoli, like a bunch of grapes, forms lungs. So this is the basic structure of an alveoli. It's like a balloon. The air enters the alveoli. There is blood vessels which comes from the heart and which goes to the heart and the walls of the alveoli. The oxygen in the air which we breathe in dissolves in the blood which goes into the heart, and the carbon dioxide which is there in the blood which comes from the heart enters the alveoli, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So basically breathing is taking in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide, but this is what happens inside the lungs. So the alveoli is never in such a collapsed state. When we breathe in air, the alveoli expands, and the pressure at that point is called PIP, peak inspiratory pressure. So a fully expanded alveoli looks like this. It has got pressure inside. And when we breathe out air, the alveoli stays in a semi-expanded position, not completely collapsed like this. The pressure at this point, at the end of the expiration, is called positive end expiratory pressure. So a healthy lungs, the alveoli moves from this to this and this to this. It never reaches such a state. So the lungs basically looks like a cut bread. There are a lot of tissues and a lot of air vacuoles where this gas exchange takes place. And the normal oxygen content in the atmosphere is around 21%. The normal breath rate of an adult is less than 20, and for kids it's around 40 to 60, and it gradually decreases as the age goes up. And we have got two pressures inside the lungs, one is PIP and one is PEEP. So for a proper functioning of our breathing system, we need three systems to work properly. One is the brain. The brain has to give signals as to when to breathe in, when to breathe out, the correct timing. That should happen even in sleep. Then there should be the heart pumping blood in and out of the lungs properly, and then there should be breathing system. So ventilator basically takes care of only the breathing system. That doesn't have any role in our brain or heart. So unless both of these function properly, ventilator is of no major role. And there is a little bit of terms and conditions in that. I'll be coming to that. So when do we ventilate a patient? Basically, when there is a brain problem, when the brain is not sending correct signals, when there is a head injury and the patient is in coma, in such a situation, we can take care of the ventilatory part. When there is a heart problem, when there is a congenital heart disease, when there is a heart surgery, when the heart is not working properly, to decrease the load or to give extra oxygen, we can ventilate the patient. When there is a problem in the lungs per se, as I told earlier, the normal lungs, the alveoli is never completely collapsed. That can happen in something called as RDS. In newborns, it's a very common condition. It's called respiratory distress syndrome, where there is a lack of surfactant, which is a chemical in the lungs, and the alveoli collapses completely. So in these conditions, when there is a pneumonia, when the alveoli is damaged, all these conditions, we can ventilate the patient and give respiratory support. So what do ventilators do? Ventilators can give fixed number of breaths whether the patient is breathing or not. We can set the number of breaths the ventilator gives. The ventilator can give up to 100% oxygen. So for a patient who is not able to maintain the necessary oxygen saturation from 21% in the atmosphere, we can give up to 100% oxygen. We can set the pressures. If there is a lung which cannot expand properly or which collapses completely, we can set a PIP and PEEP and maintain the lung volumes. So using a ventilator is like using a walking stick when there is a knee problem. The walking stick does not solve the knee issues. It just gives us support until the knee issues are solved. So there are different types of ventilation, different types of breathing support. It can start from basic extra oxygen given through a face mask to a little bit of extra blow through the nose, And from there, it can go to non-invasive ventilation, where you set pressures, you set oxygen, you set rates, and connect the patient to the ventilator through a nasal prong. So you are not entering the patient, you are just giving through the nose. So it's called non-invasive ventilation. And then you have got invasive ventilation, where there's an endotracheal tube, a tube which is directly inserted into the trachea, and all these settings which we are giving is given directly into the lungs of the patient. And when the patient requires ventilation for a long time, this tube staying inside the trachea for a prolonged period can cause injury to the trachea, and in those cases we bypass that area and use tracheostomy. A hole is made here, and the ventilator is directly connected to the trachea, and it directly goes into the lungs. So as I mentioned earlier, there are different indications for ventilation. So there are, at times you hear that a baby or a patient was dead and the patient was put on ventilator for a long time without any use. So that is not practically possible. Whenever a patient is put on ventilator, it's mandatory that the patient's heart beats normally. Unless that happens, whatever air is going into the lungs will go in, come out. The dissolving into the blood and carbon dioxide coming out never happens. The patient will turn blue, the patient body will start decomposing. So it's not possible to sustain life or prolong the ICU stay of a patient when the heart is not beating just by putting on ventilator. For a patient to be on ventilator, the heart should be functioning properly. Ventilator can give respiratory support. But when a patient is in coma, when the patient has a head injury, that case, what happens is the brain is not sending proper signal. The heart is beating properly. The lungs is working with ventilatory support. In that case, what happens is you may not see evident signs of life, like the patient may not be moving the limbs, the patient may not be talking, but still the patient's heart is beating and the patient's lung is functioning with the support of ventilator. When a patient is expected to recover from coma, expecting that the injury is not so grave that we are giving a chance to the patient, in those cases, when the patient is in coma, you give supportive ventilation. After some time, after some support, the patient may recover. And then the next stage is there where the patient is brain dead. So to certify a patient is brain dead, you need more than one doctor, more than one test to do that the patient is not in coma, the patient is actually brain dead, and you cannot expect the patient to recover from that particular stage. So in those cases, that's the time when you usually talk to the relatives and convince them regarding organ donation and things like that. So in those cases, ventilation is a futile attempt because we know that the patient is never going to recover. In US, certain states, the bystanders cannot take decision on patient's behalf. So in those cases, you must have read those news where the patient, in spite of being in coma, is continued on ventilator for years. So that is a state where the patient is in coma and not brain dead. So a brain dead patient, ventilation may be prolonged for a few hours, so that if at all there is a concern for organ harvesting, that can be done. Otherwise, a dead patient can never prolong their ICU stay or hospital stay or whatever just by being on ventilator. There is a next stage, a next grade of after ventilator which has come up now, which is called ECMO. It's called extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, where a heart of the patient is also given a bit of support. The heart has to work, but with decreased load. The blood from a major blood vessel is pumped outside, and in an artificial lung, the oxygen is pumped in, the carbon dioxide is taken out, and the blood is sent back to the body. So for that as well, the patient's heart has to be beating, but on ECMO, the load on the lungs and heart can be taken care of. So the purpose of this video was to help clear certain misunderstanding about this wonderful device. Hope this helped. Thank you.